Almost 2 days have passed since the new expansion came out, so now it's time for me to give you some of the best decks after Perils of Paradise launched. Hi, I'm Kris05 and I'm a Hearthstone streamer, coach, and YouTube content creator, so if you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can find me for some Hearthstone coaching. I'm gonna give you 10 of the best decks right now, because we actually have plenty of decks with above 60% or close to 60% win rate from Diamond to Legend for the last couple of days, so we definitely have plenty to talk about. Now, let's get into the video.
You are not prepared!
We're starting off with Shaman of all people, and this new Rainbow Shaman list is actually doing quite well. I did give you guys a quick gameplay video about it yesterday, so you could actually see how it goes in action. But basically the gist of it is you tempo out a bunch of stuff in the early turns, you have plenty of tokeny stuff, you do have a potential to get yourself Bloodlust, that usually never happens, but it is a potential. We have things like Flame Totem to get extra damage, and mostly we have Carefree Cookie, so you can actually cycle some pretty nasty evolve stuff this way, like you get to keep on trading, just don't forget that your 1-drops could turn into a Doomsayer, so that's never gonna be fun for you, but it's usually not gonna be the case. You have some cyclability with things like Trusty Companion, you can also draw free Overload cards with Golgameth, the Overload cards would be your jam sessions as well as Turn the Tides, and we also have Gorgon Zormu, or whatever the hell you pronounce it, that can give you some pretty decent stuff, like usually tempoing this out on turn 3 allows you to curve out a bit better around turn 5, because getting 2 drops is usually kind of meh, but 3 drops is where the money starts coming. 5 and 6 is usually where the really sweet spot is. Above that, it usually is plenty of useless low-stated Battlecry minions, but you could get lucky, obviously. So don't overkeep this for too long, just try to curve out with the cheese. It's 2 mana, so use it accordingly. Usually around turn 5 is where you don't really have much to do. And on turn 6, you usually equip the weapon and really start slapping with the help of the new Skirting Death? What? Skirting? What is that even? Anyway, as well as comboing with Turn the Tides, which is your other Overload card, like I said. And if the board is actually empty, you could Turn the Tides, rush something if it's like a 0-2 totem or some shit, and use Skirting on the free to make it a 0 for that turn. And that's gonna give you 18 damage on that turn with the Weppy. Be advised, there's plenty of Vipers and Freeze Elementals out there, so don't expect to be doing this unbothered by the opponents, especially if it's an Elemental deck. Do expect to be Glacial Sharded. We're not gonna go for matchups or mulligan guides. Like, the mulligan is pretty obvious. Straight up going, well, let's go for the mulligans, obviously, but yeah, here's what it looks like so far. People have been holding on to the early game stuff, basically try to curve out with minions. Patches is MVP, Cookie is pretty hot, the new Sigil is pretty nice, the Murloc ain't too bad, and yeah, I guess Instrument Deck is also acceptable. I wouldn't really keep it in most cases though, try just to curve out usually. And on the coin it's not much different. Gorgon Zormu could be something to consider coining out, like getting the cheese nice and early could give you a very strong 4 or 5 turn. But yeah, it's kind of the same. For other good Shaman decks, we actually have plenty to choose from. There's also another Rainbow Shaman list basically. Is it actually Rainbow? Kinda. No, it's actually not Rainbow. They call it Rainbow because of discard, by the way. It's not even that important, but you do get the discount plenty of things with it, I guess. Like, if you play this, you can get yourself a 1-mana this thing because it's spell, a 1-mana this thing because it's nature, and also this goes down to 0. So plenty of cool discounts to get like that. I guess that helps you to make the Horn of the Windlord in the same turn, like turn 7, turn 8 with the coin, something like that. But yeah, we also have a variant that's running some wave of nostalgia action, and we also have a Elemental Shaman, but I will talk about that later. And also Pirate Shaman, which goes harder on the pirate action. It's also doing quite well, but not as good as the other two. I guess I should have just went through the Elemental Shaman as well. Honestly, this deck is super fun, super easy, super fundamental Hearthstone action. Name of the game is just curve out like a god, and you usually find it very hard not to. Like, you always find yourself with plenty of elementals to choose from. And yeah, you basically curve out with elementals each turn, and that allows you to do like turn 7 damage AoE with Scar. You could also do some OTKs with Lamplighter. Not OTKs, but basically 15 damage from hand. Ain't nothing to not write home about. You also have Calamos here, usually used for 6 damage, but you could use it to heal, you could use it to fill the board, all sorts of nonsense like that. Another notable inclusion is the Living Prairie, which on turn 4, that's literally 11-10 on turn 4, without overload, by the way. It's not a 7-7 after all, which can be pretty hot with a couple of rushes. Just don't forget the cows are not elementals, shocking I know, but don't expect them to get buffed with the Flame Revenant is what I'm trying to say. Shockhopper gives you some cool overload cards, Shale Spider gives you some card draw, Trusty gives you the card draw, which is kind of cool. We also have a Melt Elemental, or whatever the hell. It's kind of feeling awkward, but it does help you save the board, so it's not that bad. And you also even have Maggot in here, because you're only running 4 spells, so not that bad. It's actually only 2 spells, just a couple of Trusties in it. So yeah, all around the deck's pretty strong. We also have the Azurite Giants, and they get to be dropped on turn 4. I think it's turn 4 with the coin. But yeah, pretty quick stuff. And here's what it looks like for the mulligan going first. Basically curve out, it's really not rocket science. Don't keep anything above 3 mana usually going first. When going second, I guess you could consider keeping things like Living Prairie, honestly. But the rest is basically cheap early game curve out. On number 3 spot, we have Pain Warlock doing pretty well. This variant is quite scary to play, because literally most of your deck's trying to kill you, like big time kill you. We also have a Party Planner Vona in here, a couple of new Fearless Flame Jugglers, a couple of new Curse Souvenirs, which really amp up the damage. Party Fiend is really insane in the deck, and the Fearless Flame Jugglers are also super good. And that's about it for the new stuff. Everything else is pretty similar to what we're used to, and I did give you a gameplay video with this one, so you can go ahead and check that one out. As for the kept, again, you're trying to curve out with the good early game damaging stuff. If you have some of the damaging stuff already, Imprisoned Horror could be a keep. Going first, Molten Giant, a little bit scarier to hold on to going first. Going second, it's a bit more keepable nowadays, I'd say. But still, try to be curving out with the cheap good early game damaging idiots, and Malefic Rook is also amongst the keeps. Imprisoned Horror going second is usually a no-brainer as well. Curse Souvenir is also kinda hot. If you're finding yourself killing yourself way too much with this deck, I'd advise maybe removing one Souvenir for the healing weapon. That could feel a bit better, but maybe that's just me. On the number 4 spot, Pirate Demon Hunter is super good right now. No surprises to anybody. It's real strong. This particular list is actually not so much pirate oriented as Smork oriented. Don't get me wrong, you still have tons of pirates, but you also have tons of face damage from hand. Because we have things like Burning Hearts, we have things like Parched Desperados, the Spirit Totems, and we also have Going Down Swinging. I'd assume this deck is doing a lot better against the Elemental Shamans, because those are kind of popular right now. Basically helps you clear a full board with Going Down Swinging pretty easily. The rest of the deck is a bunch of Pirate Idiots. Battle Fiend is in here as well, because it works pretty well with the deck. Same with Sock Puppet. We have a couple of Paraglides for some card draw. And Zilliax is +1/-1, shocking. For the mulligans, you basically try to curve out. You can do some pretty nasty things, especially with the help of sigils into Adrenaline or into Hosen. Where the hell is Hosen? There he is. Patches is obviously always going to be a keep. Your good 1-drops are usually a keep, but try not to keep too many 1-drops, because you're going to end up having no hand real quick. And yeah, basically not rocket science. Going second is pretty much more of the same stuff, so mulligan accordingly. I forgot to check what other good Warlock decks we have. I don't think we have too much other good Warlock decks, if I gotta be honest. Yeah, Death Rattle Token Warlock is not that impressive, but it is something to consider, I guess. It's looking kinda okay, but a little bit too greedy for this meta. The rest is a bunch of Pain Warlock action. None of them are using the weapon. Guess I'm the only pussy on ladder, goddammit. Not again. But yeah, good stuff. As for Demon Hunter, we have a more traditional Pirate Demon Hunter list with plenty more pirates. This one even runs Sea Giants. Kind of surprising that most of these lists are not running the Wind Fury Pirate, but I guess it's a little bit of win more card in most cases. A little bit of wishful thinking kind of deal. But yeah, plenty of different Pirate Demon Hunters out there. Shopper Demon Hunter is still usable apparently, but not that amazing. Pain Demon Hunter is a thing, as it seems. Not as good as the pirate nonsense. And I've heard people say Sharpshooter Demon Hunter is still back on the menu. So far, that is not exactly true. As you see, 44. Moving now to Death Knight, this deck is doing quite well against all the board-centric idiots out there. And this particular list doesn't run that many new cards. We have a Gorgon Zormu, which is doing fine. The new 2-mana rush thing is not that bad either. Gives you a lot of tokeny stuff. We also have the new Eliza, which helps you really get that damage going. Ghoul's Knight is kinda hot, gives you 5 idiots on the board that attack randomly, could go straight up face on an empty board, like if you've played Eliza and killed it, and on the turn next you play this thing, it's basically like a 4-mana Pyroblast, so that ain't too bad. The new location is pretty hot, basically gives you like 12 damage a pop. And the rest is the same old Rainbow Death Knight, I guess, from the one we saw recently. It's doing well, It's not the quickest out of the bunch, but it usually is kind of pleasant to play. It's curving out usually pretty well. Like, Threads of Despair is still OP as hell. All around, good stuff. As for the win rate, for the mulligan that is, here's what it looks like going first. Try to curve out. Helia's great, Eliza's great usually. Some of the early game minions, Gorgon Zormu's fine. And as for going second, it's more of the same. Depending on the matchup, you might even consider Threads of Despair. For other good Death Knights, we have plenty of this Death Knight action going. Mining Death Knight is apparently also doing fine. A little bit smaller sample size, a little bit bigger win rate, however. This is the list I showed you. And the rest are looking a lot less amazing. Have some Plague Death Knight doing fine-ish, bunch of other Rainbows, bunch of other Minings, basically more the same. Next up we have Elemental Rogue. This, I'm not sure this is the best variant of Elemental Rogue, guys. I think this is the easier variant of Elemental Rogue. But the Lamplighter Rogue looks a lot more complicated to play, and a lot less newbie friendly. This one, however, looks pretty easy to pilot for most. You have tons of elementals to curve with, so it's usually not too hard to win with it. But in Top Legend, I don't think you're going to be seeing this particular list as much. In Top Legend, the list looks a little bit more complicated than this. But yeah, the gist of it is you curve out with a bunch of elementals, and once you get to a Sonya turn, like if you already have yourself a 1-mana Lamplighter with the help of Shadow Step, you get to copy a bunch more. You also have the bounce around, so you could clap with a couple of Lamplighters on the board, bounce them back. You have both your Shadow Steps, your Breakdances, which you could copy with Sonya again. Like, it's pretty good. It actually packs a very mean punch, but it's not super simple to pilot well, so keep that in mind. Here's what the mulligan looks like real quick. Try to keep the early game curve, the weapon ain't too bad, and as for going second, it's pretty much more of the same. But yeah, very less skill-intensive deck than the more skill-intensive deck. Here's what the other variants of this looks like. Yeah, the lists with Sandbox, I'd assume, are a bit more complicated for most. We have some other inclusions in here, a little bit less elementals, so a bit harder to actually pull off the thing. But yeah, in top 1000, we still don't have enough stats, so damn it, legend it is. But yeah, basically Elemental Rogue is at the top. Mining Rogue, still playable, but nowhere near as good. We have a couple of pretty much OG decks. Flood Pally just has a Gorgon Zormu in here, so I'm not gonna really stop and explain much about this one. It's basically Flood Pally, so you are gonna be doing pretty well against most board-centric matchups. Here's what the matchups look like. The mulligan looks like going first. Here's what it looks like going second. Very intuitive deck to be slapping with. And also, same goes for Hand Buff Pally, which is also basically pretty much up there. Do we have 0 new cards in this one? Yep, pretty much 0 new cards. So if you have this before, you can still keep on clapping with it. This is the non-mining variant with the deckhand, so it ain't too bad. Here's what it looks like going first. Here's what it looks like going second. Shocking, I know. For other good Pally decks, Lynessa Pally was supposed to be good, but not really. Not really. It's clunky as hell. I tried it. It does work here and there, but not exactly amazing so far. So yeah, Hand Buff, Flood, and Mining are the way to go for now. We also have Dragon Druid still doing quite fine. This one does have a few new cards, not too many, but just enough. A couple of new heights to get that ramp going nice and quick. Hydration Station for some of them on Killiaxes. And the rest looks pretty much same good old stuff. So yeah, if you enjoyed combo druid before, you should still be able to, even though right now the meta is a little bit too quick for it, so you're not going to be winning as much, I fear. But is that really a bad thing? I think this deck was a little bit too broken for a while now, wasn't it? Here's what the mulligan looks like going first. You try to ramp, try to get a dragon for the splish splash to work, and here's what it looks like going second, pretty much more the same. For other good druid decks, we have plenty of different iterations of dragon druids, basically, ramp druids, all of that nonsense. I've seen plenty of Highlanders. Seems like they're not that hot though, they're not even on the radar, but then again, it's Highlander, how could they be? It's a little bit hard to get sample size for a 30 different card list. Yeah, basically all sorts of different ramps. Treant Druid is doing somewhat okay in the early meta, trying to punish those greedy decks, but all around, I guess Dragon Ramp is the way to go. And lastly, we have Virus Control Warrior, pretty disgusting deck to be playing against. It's not Highlander, this variant at least. It again has the Unkiliax virus module. We also have ETC banned with Odin in there for some potential extra game plan for you if the normal Unkiliax action doesn't pan out. Hydration Station revives those Unkiliaxes, same with Inventor Boom. We have one Sleep Under the Stars, so you can keep that card draw, keep that ramp, armor, stuff like that. You also have Chemical Spills, so you can cheat out Unkiliax even quicker. And we also have the new Heights. Tide Pool is also in here, which can be pretty disgusting, giving you some extra removal like that. You also have All You Can Eat, so you can fish out Unkiliax quicker. It's pretty disgusting, not gonna lie. A lot of control tools in this one, a lot of Unkiliaxes. Not the most fun deck to be playing against, I can tell you that much. For other good warrior decks, we have plenty of different control-y lists. Mech Warrior seems kind of like the same thing, but with a little bit of extra mech synergies perhaps. Not really, I don't know. We also have Highlander Warrior still doing okay. And I guess the Sandwich Warriors and whatnot are at the bottom, so not as amazing. Wow, 28% Sandwich Warrior. Meta Breaker according to some YouTubers, guys. Meta Breaker right there. Gotta get that content now, don't we? But yeah, that's about it for the lists. For the classes I haven't mentioned, what didn't we mention? Hunter, that's what. Apparently Secret Hunter is still doing fine. I guess people that don't have new cards are still slapping with it. Couple of different iterations of it. Buffet Hunter, apparently not amazing. Amalgam Hunter is dog ass. I tried that one, pretty trash indeed. Was gonna make a video about it, but I wouldn't do that to you guys. If I feel the deck is trash, I won't show it. Moving down to Mage, Spell Mage is still popping, not that much. Rainbow Mage is up there, not really, under 50. Tourist Mage is kind of garbage. Big Spell Mage, garbager. With Priest, Zarimi Priest is your best bet so far. I did see plenty of Overheal Priests actually. I did try Automation Priest, turned out to be trash, so you're not going to be seeing it on my channel so far. Highlander Priest is also under so far, so Zarimi would be the way to go. And the rest of the classes we actually did show. It was a top 10 this time, so I'm spoiling you guys. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this top 5/10 for this video, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing so far. Be careful crafting too much so far. Obviously, it's still very early meta stuff. We shouldn't be getting a nerf in the next couple of weeks, so you will be able to abuse some of these nasty aggro decks for quite a while. So get comfortable with the meta. It's gonna be like this for at least a couple of weeks. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.